Giuliani.
Yeah, he weighed in on the Black Lives Matter movement in connection to the Dallas police murders. Take a listen.
You said that the Black Lives Matter movement has put a target on the back of police officers. When members of the African American community see videos as they have this week, they feel like there is a target on young black men. Explain your response about how they put a target on police officers, how that can match up when people see these videos.
Well, when they talk about killing police officers.
But they don't.
When they sing, oh, they sure do. They sing rap songs about killing police officers, and they talk about killing police officers, and they yell it out at their rallies, and the police officers
Mr. Mayor, but Mr. Mayor, what you seem to be doing is taking...
Please let me finish. And when you say Black Lives Matter, that's inherently racist.
Well, I think their
Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, Asian Lives Matter, Hispanic Lives Matter. That's anti-American and it's racist. Well, of course Black Lives Matter, and they matter greatly. But when you focus in on 1% of less than 1% of the murder that's going on in America, and you make it a national thing, and all of you in the media make it much bigger than the black kid who's getting killed in Chicago every 14 hours, you create a disproportion.
Harold Ford, what's your reaction?
He conflates a lot of things. I find it difficult at a moment when the country is uniting and trying to come up with serious and real answers to listen to someone who languishes and peddles hate and violence and kind of silliness. Some of the points he raised about the crime issues in communities across the country are real, but to suggest that when young black men call police, call law enforcement to be of help and of assistance, and there's concern that the law enforcement may not either show up or may show up and treat them unfairly, I think it's something you have to address. And we have evidence, piece of evidence after piece of evidence, police officers engaging in unlawful conduct against black men. So look, Rudy Giuliani has his own political agenda he's promoting. I hope we don't get distracted by that nonsense.
What he said,
and we actually deal with the things we've been talking about.
I think he should talk to Newt Gingrich. I mean, even Newt Gingrich, who I disagree with on most stuff, said that living in America black is much different. I mean, so I don't even want to get into the Rudy Giuliani argument. I did a piece on him in today's Daily News. I think that what we've got to deal with is to say that a rap song who says something or somebody at a rally represents a broader movement is absurd on its face. Let's look at the statement, though, about saying the slogan Black Lives Matter is racist. Then are we saying that National Organization for Women is anti-man, or United Jewish Appeal is racist? I mean, what are you talking about? People raise all the time the concerns of people that have been neglected or treated differently, and I think that there's nothing anti anybody else about trying to make sure you are no longer victimized by being treated and marginalized in an anti-you kind of way.
So this angers me. And it angers me for a number of reasons. First, because he's engaging in bad faith. We know the facts are clear. The facts are clear. The Center for Policing Equity has already just recently put out a major study that was covered in the New York Times July 7th, showing that there's no correlation between black-on-black crime and police violence. Right? There's no correlation between those two. Right? So the idea, in the midst of the death of Sterling, in the midst of the death of Castile, to bring up the issue of crime in Chicago as if it has any bearing on those actions is an act of bad faith. That's the first thing. The second thing, right? Blue Lives Matter, I suppose, isn't narrow, but Black Lives Matter is. Right? What does that makes no sense to me. So part of what we have to deal with is this. In the midst of this particular conversation, this goes to the question of whether or not we're more divided than we are. There are people who hold positions, assumptions about who black people are, and those assumptions are driving policy, are driving perceptions, and they're driving judgments about what motivates these actions. So you read my Twitter feed this weekend. Every time someone responds to the death of a black person by the hands of the police, by saying or appealing to black-on-black crime, or appealing to the criminality of quote-unquote criminality of black communities, what they're revealing at that moment is that they really don't care about the death of those black people right in front of them. And at that point, I'm angry. Yeah. I'm angry with that. And it is very difficult for for me then to be
There's
civil
a complete disconnect.
Right.
in that conversation. So
Well,
I'm so happy I didn't see Rudy Giuliani when he said
Can I
that.
say just one I said in Memphis?
Still don't get-
it's a distraction is what it is. It's a distraction.
Totally.
Yes. Yes. Black on black crime is a problem. Yes. Chicago is a problem.
Absolutely.
Yes. These are problems that we talk about all the time.
They're all related
Don't
to an extent.
conflate with problems with law enforcement officers in the black community
As an example
with
of
what's going
as
on
a great
in Chicago.
example of some of the things we're talking about here, a small example, and you mentioned in Memphis, and I said it earlier, the protesters there, the chief of police in Memphis joined the protesters to cross the bridge. There was probably some unlawful conduct in terms of blocking and shutting down the bridge, but the police and the protesters behaved in a way consistent with what you talked about, Reverend, making the case that protesters are not a part of nor support anyone that would kill anyone, particularly police officers. And the real concern is how do we have this bigger dialogue? So I salute my hometown for that. I hope we don't get distracted by the silliness of Rudy Giuliani.
Let's go to Dallas. NBC News senior White House correspondent Chris Jansen